So I saw Jurassic World Rebirth. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. This was probably the best Jurassic movie I've seen ever since Fallen Kingdom. We don't talk about Dominion. But now that I've seen it, this makes me wonder, were the mutants really mutants? And I'm not throwing shade at D-Rex, or maybe I am. I'm mainly throwing shade at the Mutadons. So let's get in. Spoilers ahead. I think if you haven't seen the movie yet, yeah, spoilers ahead. Definitely. Now, I did mention this in one of my trailer breakdowns, but if the mutants are actually mutants, or if they are failed experiments, why would you keep them? I mean, yeah, you could learn from your mistakes, but you can also have an autopsy on the creature in order to learn from your mistakes. So why on God's name would you keep something that was supposed to be failed? Why wouldn't you just put it down? Yeah, I know it's explained in the movie that they don't want to put down like $1 million assets, but still, that's not a reason for having a possibly dangerous animal that is failed on the island. Wouldn't you want that to not be a liability? Or maybe Engine genuinely doesn't care about their employees at all and just wants to keep $1 million assets, but who knows? The same goes for the Mutadons. Why would you keep something that is supposedly failed? Well, according to some people, because I didn't catch on to this at all, in the movie there's a retcon that says that instead of the original Jurassic Park, these dinosaurs were being made for Jurassic World, like the 2015 park. So if that's the case, what does this make them? Failed hybrids? Well, that's definitely likely. As for the D-Rex, I believe it to be a failed version of the Indominus Rex. In 2015, it states that the Indominus Rex has the base genome of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the rest is classified. If you look at the D-Rex and the other Rebirth Rex, you can see that they look very, very similar. Hell, the whole point of the D-Rex is that it is a mutated attempt to clone a T-Rex. Hence the name Distortus Rex, aka Twisted King. So why did the D-Rex go wrong but the Indominus Rex didn't? Well, I think it's because they used different genetic makeup for the D-Rex. If the D-Rex turns out to be a hybrid, this makes it the oldest hybrid, predating the Scorpius Rex by a few years. At that time, they likely didn't know how to make hybrids, so they were just testing out stuff and seeing what would work with each other. But to no surprise, like Engine always does, they failed and accidentally created a kaiju-sized dinosaur that can chew on helicopters like chicken drums. And I'm just gonna say it, I think the D-Rex has human DNA, or some sort of primate at least. And if you think the Scorpius Rex is humanoid because it pulled off this stance, then get a load of this.
Eat a tree from? Did you eat? I'ma ask you again. Did you eat a tree from right here?
Yeah, that is a hell no from me. But either way, I think that the D-Rex could have been a failed Indominus Rex attempt. Now for the Mutadons, which could be a little bit trickier, but I have two plausible theories. The first one is that they were just generic hybrids that were supposed to replace the Pteranodons in the aviary. This could be backed up kind of by the fact that the wings of the Mutadon actually look like the Pteranodon wings. Even more backing up the idea that these animals were made for Jurassic World instead of Jurassic Park. My second theory, however, is that these guys were actually supposed to be amalgams. If you don't know what an amalgam is, it's basically an hybrid, but they're not trying to create a new dinosaur. Instead, they're trying to create a entirely different, real genus. For example, let's say you want to clone a Spinosaurus. Now, let's also say that you don't have all of the DNA in order to create the Spinosaurus, or you don't have enough DNA that you can fill the amphibian holes in. Well, we're going to take more DNA, but this time from a different dinosaur that's related to Spinosaurus. Let's say Baryonyx. And then we're going to take another DNA sample from a different dinosaur that's also in the same family, say Suchomimus, and then boom, you get a Spinosaurus. But you might be asking, what dinosaur were they trying to create? Well, I have an idea. Meet Yi Kui. Yes, that's the real name of this thing. It was a tiny Scansoriopterygiid that lived in the late Jurassic. While it likely wouldn't have been able to fly, it definitely had membrane wings similar to that we see in the Mutadon. It would have used these wings to glide around and catch bugs, as well as probably having an omnivorous diet, meaning that it ate both meat and plants. As soon as I saw the Mutadons in the trailer, I immediately thought of Yi Kui. So could the Mutadon be an attempt to actually clone this tiny dinosaur? I think it's likely. The only problem is that the Mutadon likely has only 2 DNA factors that come from prehistoric animals, that being Pteranodon and Velociraptor. Is there a secret third donor that we don't know about? Maybe. But then again, the base genome is not Yi Kui. And Maserati Corporation would likely know about the amalgam testing because it was after the amalgam testing, right? Wrong. The amalgam testing, or Project Regenesis, was covered up, meaning that Maserati would have no way of getting to it. And that is where the failed part of a failed amalgam comes in. I think that Maserati was trying to make his own amalgams, but since he didn't know how to do them, he messed up real time. The dude probably thought that Velociraptor would be the good base genome for Yi Kui, and not Compsognathus. Honestly, that would probably be worse, because then you would have flying tiny dinosaurs that are also venomous. But my point still technically stands. I think that the Mutadon could be a failed amalgam, and it was supposed to be a tiny Yi Kui, but ended up as a giant, plump version of a Velociraptor that can somehow fly. But anyways, that's all, and yeah, let me know your ideas down in the comments.